Hey guys, David Koon here. I'm sitting here burning another fire. I want to turn around where you can see me for a second. I'm just sitting here smoking a cigar and got a little fire going on. I got my best friend Alex. Alex, come here for a second. Sorry guys. Come here. Hey Alex, what you doing, man? I don't know if they can see you. No, you probably can't. So anyway, I'm just sitting here and it's been a while since I've done a video, and figured I would just talk about a little bit of things that I shared with Naya, and I shared with a few of the people in the collective on a Skype one night, and that's, I guess they call it the law of attraction. Basically, I just called it just being and doing what I do at times without having any knowledge of what the law of attraction was. But going back to, I guess, a couple of months ago, a buddy of mine and myself were riding in a what we call a Kawasaki Mule, which is a one of the, it's kind of like a golf cart but beefed up. It's a four-wheel drive recreation vehicle. And we have this little routine that we do from time to time. We'll hang out and have a few beers and smoke a cigar, and then we take and we live out in the country, and both of us here in Southwest Georgia, and we get rid of our garbage. They have a setup that's I guess a couple miles from where he lives, and actually a couple miles from where I live. That, yeah, there's dumpsters set up, and you take your garbage that you dispose of, and you take that up to the dumpsters and you get rid of it. So one evening we were traveling in the mule, and we were on our way up, and it was misty and raining just a little bit, and misting or whatever you want to call it. And there was a need for, we have a shield in front of we would call it a windshield, but there's not much wind going on in those vehicles. They don't top in on most of them that we're around, go from 20 to 48 miles per hour. So anyway, it was raining, and I just looked at my buddy and I said, you know what we need? We need a squeegee, one of those things with a little cushion on them and a little squeegee thing where you can use them to get the moisture off your windshield or whatever, and everyone knows what that is. About 3 or 4 minutes later, we happened to pull up on this 8 or 10 dumpsters, whatever it is, that's where we take off all of our garbage and stuff like that. And there happened to be sitting there a almost brand new squeegee. Like 3 or 4 minutes before I stated it, and there it was. And thinking about that, now, I was definitely excited. I went, oh my God, I just said that. We need a squeegee. And there it was. It was just laying there, like, it was under a few things. And, but the edge was sticking out the handle, and I looked at it and I went, oh my God, here we go. Got what we wanted. Well, I guess around the Christmas time, my buddy and I were also riding the same route, and we were going to, sometimes we call it our flea market, because it's funny, the things that we just randomly find there. We're not dumpster divers, but we do a little splashing every once in a while. We don't actually dive in, but we do splash, and sometimes we find some pretty cool stuff. But anyway, on this particular night, I happened to say the same thing or something similar. I said, you know what, whatever I need, all I got to do is put it out there, and I'm going to get it. Not those exact words, but something to that extent. I had mentioned it to you guys and mentioned it to Naya afterwards, and she said maybe I should make a video. And that's been a couple of weeks back, and I've just been busy, and it just wasn't the right time. I didn't feel that I should be speaking about it at the time. But anyway, and that the first little thing, that was pretty obvious, and it happened right away. But like I said, sometime before that, around the Christmas time, I had said that statement of, whatever I need, I'm going to get it, or it's going to come to me, or whatever it was. And about almost 2 days later, no more than 3 days later, I happened to be, I got a message on my phone from Craigslist, or maybe it was on the Facebook. They've got the marketplace, whatever it was, and there was an ad that popped up, and someone had a a little job that they wanted someone to do. All you had to do is go in the backyard of this property that was maybe an hour and a half away and pick up this that's a 5x8 little utility trailer. You can put a lawnmower or something like that on it, and it just had all kinds of just garbage and stuff like that on it. And the guy thought it had a broken axle, and I went, well, wow, man, I need a little trailer. I was just saying that I need a little trailer because I need to be able to haul my lawnmower around and do some little mowing and stuff like that for friends and family of friends and stuff like that. And all you had to do is go there and haul off all the junk, and you got the trailer. So I went there and I looked at the trailer, and oh man, it was a little bit of work. It was some labor, but nothing real big, but just maybe 5 or 6 hours worth of labor. And I had to bring another trailer and a truck in to load the trailer and the garbage and stuff like that was there. I had to throw it on top of another trailer, and it ended up being basically that trailer was like brand new, that it just had a broken spring on it, which was about $40 to replace it. And in the process, I end up picking up a wood stove. It's called a Grandpa Bear fireplace stove, which will heat up to about 3,000 square feet. And there was absolutely nothing wrong. A little bit of surface rust and a couple of broken bricks on it, the fireplace type bricks. So it's about 500 pounds. I was able to load that up on the trailer as well. And there was also an old bench that was there. It's a heavy duty bench. It wasn't, I mean, it's made out of iron, and then it had some rotten wood and stuff on it. And it was probably worth about $300 if it had new wood and stuff like that. So I threw that on there, and I took the stuff away, and I ended up with the trailer, and all it needed was a set of springs. Well, it just so happened that the place that I took this to is a place that I subcontract and do a little bit of, I clean semis and inside and out tractor trailers. Not normally the trailers, but sometimes. And they pay me once a month, and I go in for maybe about 30 hours a month and clean it up inside and out, pressure clean it, and detail the insides. Well, it's not just one, there's 9 of them. And it just so happened that where I brought the trailer to, there was the week that I was supposed to get paid, and I don't have a lot of cash. I work with what I have. I always have what I need, thank God. And anyway, the guy that's my buddy that we go to the dumpster, as we call it, flea market, he happens to be the shop foreman there, and he said, hey, just go ahead and put it on our tab, and you get paid this week, we'll take it out of your check. And then it needed some tail lights and rewiring and stuff, so it was about $70-80 worth of materials that I was given, and I was allowed to put that on the tab, nothing out of my pocket. And it just so happened that the next day when I came in, which was the day before my check was going to be cut for doing the labor that I do, the owner of the company was sitting there, and he said, what are you going to do with that bench? And I said, well, I don't know. He says, how about I take that bench and you don't worry about the money that you have for the materials, because they let me put the headlights, the wiring, all the wiring and stuff like that, or tail lights, excuse me, and the spring that I needed, they let me put that on their tab. And he just said, hey, don't worry about it, man. I'll just, you let me have that bench, and I'll pay for that. So I end up getting a 500, well, it's probably new, it'd be around a $900 trailer, and for just a little bit of labor. And I ended up getting, getting it repaired and everything with just trading out a bench. And then I got this fireplace wood stove, and I put it on. All I did was put some wood stove polish on it, and it was beautiful. It's in certain areas worth a lot of money, but I was wanting $500 for it. And I went ahead and I put it on Craigslist in Tallahassee, which isn't that far from me. And it was about a week to 2 weeks, and I got a lot of offers, and one guy wanted like $250, and I just knew in my mind, I said, no, this thing, I know what I need to get. It's $500, and that's what I'm going to get. So I started to get a little bit doubtful and you know, just kind of wondering, well, is this actually going to go through or not? And after the first week and a half, and I just said, no, you know what? I had some offers and everything, and I just said, no, you know what? No, it's $500. That's what I need, because I'm thinking in the back of my mind that my sister has a kitchen, and I've been wanting to do repairs for her. I wanted to put some new cabinets on the bottom, new countertops, and I wanted to reface, put new cabinet doors and everything on the uppers, and I needed the materials and everything to do this job, and I was already thinking about that before I said it to my buddy that, hey, I get what I need. And so anyway, I end up selling this thing for $500, but the catch was that the lady lived about an hour and 15 minutes from me, and she wanted me to deliver it. So I said, okay, for another $20, no big deal, I'll go ahead and deliver it. So I went to deliver it, and meanwhile, the night before, I had been looking for cabinet materials and stuff like that, and I also wanted to build a ramp for my mother, because she's 82 years old, and the ramp that we have now, it won't be long and she'll be in a wheelchair. And I said, well, I really need to get the wood to replace the ramp outside. And it just so happened the night before, I saw this ad on Craigslist in Tallahassee that said cabinet grade walnut half sheets of plywood, $10 a piece. Well, man, that's like a steal. It's like $50 to $70 depending on where, and 3/4 inch walnut grade or walnut cabinet grade materials. So I end up, this is on the way back from the area that I'm going to be delivering this to, right on the way back. And also they had 1 1/8 inch tongue and groove plywood for $10 a half a sheet, or $20 a full sheet. So I ended up being able to go and deliver this stove, paid for my gas, got the $500. I was able to go back and buy the materials and everything that I needed to redo my sister's cabinets, plus I ended up getting a few cabinets that I just, I did a process on it that I made everything look the same. I went and I painted a stainable primer, which has wood and paint, to where you can paint over metal, concrete, anything, and it becomes wood, and then you go in and stain it and make it look like they're wood cabinets. So anyway, on the way back, I was able to pick up all this, and I was able to buy all the materials that I needed and everything. So out of those two statements, the one that was just a simple, within 3 minutes, or 5 minutes at the most, I said, man, it'd be nice if we had a squeegee. I found it. In a couple weeks on that same route, I just mentioned it. It wasn't anything dramatic. I didn't stress about it every day, all day long. I just put it out there. And I said, what I need is going to come to me. And then 2 days later, I find this ad on Craigslist helping someone else out, or it may have been Facebook, whichever it was. I don't remember. And I was able to get this trailer that I needed for my little lawn business. And, I'm on they call it a fixed income, and mine's a broken income, which, this is kind of a joke, because I know that I get what I need. And anyway, I was able to get out of that, just putting that out there and leaving that statement out there without worrying about it every day, or doing a whole big ordeal about the law of attraction and so on and so forth. When I said it, I believed it, and I left it. I said it and left it, and I didn't think about it again, and these things happened right away. So on the way back, I was able to get the material I needed. I was able to go back and pick it up on the way back home. I was able to use a router and get all the materials and everything that I needed, and the materials from my mother's ramp, and all this stuff, just by putting that out there. Now, obviously, this doesn't work every single day on every single thing that I do, but the point is that I didn't have to. I've learned a little bit about the law of attraction, but I didn't have to go through this whole big thing about every day putting it out there, wondering, because at that time I believed it, I said it, and I left it alone. So I think there's something to that. And I want to go back a little bit further. A lot of you all don't know a whole lot about my past, other than there's a few things I put on there that approximately 7 years ago, in July of 2018, it'll be 7 years ago, I had found myself in a place where my life I was in total deep despair, and I had been for quite a few years, but I was actually living in a shed or in the woods or different places that it's kind of irrelevant. You get the idea. And I moved up here to Georgia to my sister's because of the routes and everything that I had chosen and the life that I had chosen. I had created this life situation for myself, and this is all part of my awakening, which now I realize it's been going back for a lot longer time than just the last few years. But anyway, I came up here and I had moved into my sister's double wide, and I was in a room, and then I decided, well, I need my own space, so I went out and actually took the shed that she has outside, and I created my own little efficiency type thing in that. And then one day I was sitting there and I was thinking to myself, well, you know what? I need a camper. And I happened to meet a buddy of mine, he's a good friend of mine now, that I didn't know it at the time, but he had a camper that was only, I think it's about 10 years old, maybe 12 at the most, that was sitting in his woods just out in the middle of nowhere. And he knew my situation. He says, hey man, why don't you go and get this camper that I have? It's about a 25-foot camper, and bring that to your home, to your sister's home, and you can live in that. And at the time I didn't realize that I was already putting in some of the laws of attraction, whatever you want to call that, the law of attraction. I was putting those principles into my life, and I didn't realize that I had been doing this for a very long time, even when I was married years ago, and the situations that I went through with my ex-wife and our marriage and everything. I always knew, and I'd just say, no matter what, everything's going to be okay. So I know I'm doing a lot of rambling here, but I know that there's a lot out there that I don't know about the law of attraction, and I do believe that there's other principles also that go along with this, and a lot of them's got to be with maybe thinking too much about it, or magnification. If you worry about things a lot and you start wondering, or if you start putting it on your mind, is this going to work, or is it going to happen? You're actually magnifying that, the negativity of that, or the wondering, or the concentrating on the not having it. And sometimes I believe that the law of attraction that I've experienced in my life is basically just putting it out there and believing and knowing and having that as a life principle, and just knowing it, and not even being aware that you're doing it. Sometimes is the easiest thing. Just put it out there. Don't put rules. Don't put regulations. I didn't say I want my buddy to have this camper for me to live in, and I didn't say I'm going to put this out there. We're going to find this squeegee in front of the dumpster, and I didn't go, oh my God, I need to find this trailer that somebody has that they need moved because it's a rental property and they've got to get it out there, and it ended up being of value to me, and it ended up being a really fantastic manifestation. And I didn't even realize it was just something that was in me, because we know all this. We've just forgotten it. And sometimes our mind and our ego, or our always questioning and wondering why and how, and putting these limits on it, sometimes it's just as simple as just believing. We used to call it in the church, we'd say, it was faith. In other words, the Bible even said, if you have just the enough, I don't know, G-Man, you probably know this more than I do at this moment, but the faith of a mustard seed, which is very, very tiny. It's smaller than a grain of rice. Then you can move a mountain. And those are things that were true and real in the church, or in the Bible. Some of the things that we've learned that are real, and that are actually, that one is the law of attraction. That's kind of what it's about. So anyway, I've waited a few weeks, and I apologize for that. No, I don't really apologize. It just wasn't the right time. This is the right time. But I want to encourage you guys. Sometimes we've got to, I did something about getting into our mind, or am I losing my mind, or whatever it was, on one of my other videos. And sometimes our mind is our worst enemy, or allowing the thoughts. Some of the thoughts that come to your mind, obviously, is your higher self, and you need to listen to that. But it's all the clutter and the doubt and all the other things that confuse us. So I just wanted to share a little bit that with you guys tonight. And I want you to know that I love you, and I appreciate you guys so much. And I want you to know that it's going to be okay. Whatever you're going through, whatever your situation is, the doubts, the anger, even though it only comes once in a while, there's a lot of emotions, there's a lot of energies out there right now, and they're going to, we used to say, challenge your faith, or they're going to mess with you. But a lot of this is something to get your attention, and to make you get back on the path that you chose, or that you've asked, or that you've implied, or that you have had intent. There are a lot of things that happen that aren't always what we think they are, or we don't always understand what the reasons that they're there. But I want you to know, guys, that you are loved, and that this is not just a law of attraction for just anyone. It's for everyone. And I want you to know that sometimes you just got to keep it simple, stupid. Remember that saying I mentioned before, and you've heard, the KISS? Keep it simple, stupid. Sometimes we need to do that. And I'm my own worst enemy at times. But I love you guys, and I want you to know that everything is going to be all right. You're on the right path. If you're thinking about where you're at, and your mind is on wanting to make yourself, in your mind, a better person, or you're wanting to change some things, you're in the right direction. You're in the right path. If some things are starting to come into your life that are challenging, then there's a reason for it. And you just need to be able to somehow sit back and look at it, or allow it to play through. Because sometimes you have to go through it, or you choose to go through it, or you just go through it whether you choose to or not. But in the end, we need to come out of this as whole as we can, and always be grateful and thankful. I'm thankful for each of you guys, and I love you very much. And I hope that these things continue in my life, and I know they will, and I hope that they continue in your life. And remember, there's another thing. When you start using this law of attraction, which I am absolutely in no way an expert on this at all, but I do know this, the ebb and the flow, as I call it, and I think, Jeremy, you've heard me say that before, and I've mentioned it a couple times. The ebb and the flow of what comes and what goes, it's always alive, it's always moving. And don't get yourself in a situation to where your ebb and your flow is in your mind, and it's sitting there and worrying. Actually, what I was trying to say with that, I just got lost for a second, is it kind of like gets multiplied. Whatever you put out there, it comes back in whatever fold. I've heard 3-fold, 7-fold. And I guess there's principles and laws about that. I'm just not aware of them. But here's something that I heard just recently that's very interesting to me. When you start putting these things out there with this law of attraction, don't just do it for yourself. Put it out there for your friends, your family, your loved ones. I don't care if you take 1, 2, 5, 10, 100. And what happens is that ebb and flow effect, it creates an even larger effect. It's like putting an extra piece of wood on the fire. It makes it, you see how that reacted when I said that? Isn't that cool? It makes it multiply, because you're putting your energy out there, and you're collecting the energies of other people. You're wanting this law to go in effect for other people's. And what happens is it creates a snowball effect, or a multiplication effect. And the more people that you start doing that, you're going to find out that what comes back to you is going to be even more. And I want to tell you something more about the law of attraction. If you put out an energy, if you just go up and you're smiling and you're being pleasant with people, and you don't have to do any of this. I mean, you can, and it works, but it can be as simple as just going out and putting your love out there, putting your caring out there, putting your empathy out there, putting your desire to see people in a different light out there. This is all the law of attraction. These energies will also bring back other energies, which will bring in the abundance, which isn't just money. It could be a squeegee that somebody discarded. It can be somebody needing a help. It can be a smile that keeps someone from going and slapping or hurting their child or their wife. This law of attraction is a lot bigger. I love you guys. I wish I could give more, but at this point, we're on 25 minutes. So I hope this comes out clear. I'm sitting in the dark, but I'm in the light. I love you guys. Bye.